So I've decided to document my journey as I begin building out Yomenië, as well as my in-experience persona, Rubezal. And that kind of starts from the top down. And so starting at the top, here's the hat I made. It's a wet felted hat, and just going to talk a bit about how I made it. Starting out, you're going to need a few simple things here. You're going to want at least 8 ounces, but I recommend getting a pound of 100% wool roving. This is merino wool. You can typically get bulk wool in other varieties, but merino is going to be the softest and probably the easiest to get a hold of. You're going to want some wide bubble wrap. Now, this 2-footer I just got from an office supply warehouse, but you can maybe find these at big box stores, or you can order it online. You're going to want a resist or a template for your hat. Depending on the size of the hat, obviously, you're going to want something pretty big. This is just plastic sheeting I got at Michael's. You can also use EVA foam. Just make sure it's bigger than you want the hat to be, because as you felt, the wool shrinks. What makes the felting possible is room temperature soapy water. So just get a spray bottle or a squeeze dropper like you would use for infants, and fill it with room temperature water, or just slightly warmer than room temperature, as well as just some dishwashing liquid. You don't need a lot, but you definitely want enough that when you agitate it, it gets bubbly. And then the last thing you'll need is something to roll to help with the felting process. One more thing. I have this set up on a computer workstation right now, but you will definitely want this somewhere where you don't mind water getting everywhere. So you want a water-safe workplace. It could just be your dining room table or countertop, but definitely not around electronics. Now, your first step is going to be to lay out the bubble wrap, bubble side up. That texture is going to help get the felting started. And you're going to lay your resist down. Now, I made mine shaped this way because I wanted to have a bit of a funny shape, but you can do something just as simple as a triangle. You just want to make sure that it's big enough to fit your head. I used a Sharpie just to trace an outline around, but if you're not planning on dyeing the wool, like if you want to keep it white, or you buy wool that's already the color you want, you're going to want to use something like chalk or a water-soluble marker so that it comes out. So after you get this all stitched out, you're going to want to start out by spraying a little bit of water, on the mat itself, because you want it to be kind of wet and let the wool stick to it. And then you're going to take pieces of wool off of your roving, and it comes like this, so it's pretty easy to do. You just kind of pull straight off, and you're going to want to lay it down either vertical or horizontal. Start however you want, but just make sure at the bottom, that first layer, you overlap a bit over the lines, and then each piece you pull off after that, you're going to overlap all the way across, and then layer by layer all the way up till you get to the top. After you do that first layer, then you're going to want to spray that first layer down with more soapy water. Make sure it's really saturated. It doesn't have to be dripping wet, but you definitely want it to get wet. And you're going to lay your resist down on top of it, and you're going to smooth it out and get the felting process started. And then after you do that, you're going to get another layer, and you're going to go the opposite direction. So if you started out vertical, this next layer is going to go horizontal. You're going to lay it out across all the way up to the top like you normally would. After you get that second layer down, again, you're going to spray it with water, and you're going to get your resist, and you're going to put it on top of it, and you're going to start that felting process all over again. And you're going to want to leave the resist down, take that wool and overlap it, because that's what's going to create your interior layer here. You're going to overlap over the edges, and then you're going to start doing it again. You're going to lay down, layer that wool all the way across. And you spray it down, and then you do another layer, spray it all the way across. And then after you have that layered out and sprayed down with water and it's wet, you're going to begin the felting process. I'm going to use this other hat as an example. You're going to lay the bubble wrap over it, if I can get a hold of it here. And then you're going to take your round rolling implement. You can use like a really sturdy tube of cardboard, or you can use a rolling pin like I am. And you're just going to roll it up like this. And you roll it across, and you're just going to do this. And you're going to do that like 10 to 15 times. And then after you do that 10 to 15 times, you're going to open it up and turn your hat 90 degrees clockwise. And you're going to just do it again. You're going to roll that up, get out your rolling implement, roll that up, and 10 to 15 more times. And you're going to do that 4 times. You're going to do a complete rotation. Then you're going to flip it over, and you're going to roll it the opposite direction and do that again. After you've done all of that rolling, your hat will largely be felted together. There might be some fluffy spots that haven't quite figured it out. You can just double check and flip it over. But you're going to spray and refelt anytime you find something like that. And then after you've done that, you may have to cut out the bottom, but you're going to pull your resist out. You're going to take your hat, you'll stretch it out, and you're going to rinse it in cold, clean water until all the soap comes out. You can also do hot water. That hot water is going to felt it a little bit more, make it shrink a little bit more, because the hat will have already shrunk a bit during the felting process. And then after you've rinsed it out completely and got all the soap out of it, you just let it dry. In fact, it'll kind of feel already somewhat dry. That's the quality of wool that it is, that it absorbs moisture and then loses it really fast. You're going to let it dry. You're going to kind of stretch it out and shape it into the shape that you want. For me, I wanted a little bit of a bend here at the back, so I set it down, and you can use a foam form or just some sort of cone, a large funnel, anything like that to help you form your point, and you're going to let it dry completely. And then after it's dry, you can dye it, or you can leave it whatever color you want. You can add any embellishments you want. Like I made this braided hat band out of yarn, found some fun feathers and sewed those in. If your hat has any thin spots or anything like that, you can actually just sew it up with regular thread, and that'll add some character to it. And it'll look fun. Of course, it'll look homemade, and that's what you want. And you're on your way to the beginning of your cosplay.